What's going on? You're watching NFL Daily, and I'm your host, Mitchell Renz. Interact with me on Instagram and Twitter, at MitchellRenz365. The Super Bowl 53 is in the books. The New England Patriots have won yet another Super Bowl. So I have 2019 NFL Power Rankings coming at you. And if you think it's a little bit too early for that, well, guess what? Too bad. Number 32 on my list, the Arizona Cardinals, and I understand that they hired a new coach in Cliff Kingsbury, and I understand they have David Johnson. This team is bad, and there's a reason why they were 3-13. My number 31 team on my list, the Oakland, well, are they still the Oakland Raiders? I'm not quite sure, but they're coming in here at number 31. There's still plenty of question marks around Derek Carr and whether or not he is the franchise quarterback. And here's the other thing. Who's going to be the Raiders starting running back? Is it Marshawn Lynch? I don't know. He's a free agent. Jalen Richard, Doug Martin, free agents. Chris Warren, he's fat. What is happening with the Raiders organization? And they had only 13 sacks in 2018, dead last. They need to use some of those draft picks, 6 in the top 100, to build this team. Back on in now to the rankings. I got my number 30 team here, and it's the Washington Redskins. And the Washington Redskins are expected to be without Alex Smith for the entire 2019 season. And, well, when they didn't have Alex Smith last year, it got ugly quick. They were 1-5 without him after the injury, and I don't know if he'll ever play in the NFL again. But here's the other thing that the Redskins dealt with. A lot of injuries. 26 players spent time on the IR, and in that kind of division, you're just not going to get away with it. So that's why Redskins are number 30 on my list. Number 29 coming up here, the New York Jets. And I like Sam Darnold as a prospect, but they need to be able to build talent around him because that team is not looking so sharp. Number 28, another team out of the AFC East, and it's the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen actually surprised me. He really did this past season. But again, it's the Buffalo Bills, and I just do not have a lot of confidence in that team. So those are my 5 worst teams in the NFL, but this show isn't about me. Please, let's be real. It's about everybody watching. Who's the worst team in the NFL going into 2019? I want to know from you. If you're watching this on YouTube, Facebook, I want you to comment below who's the worst team in the NFL, and hit me up on Twitter as well, and maybe I'll retweet you. Next team coming up here on the list, number 27, is the Miami Dolphins. And when I originally put out my rankings on the Dolphins, I actually had them a little bit lower, but we talked about it here at Chat Sports. It's all good. I think the Dolphins are going to tank, but I think it's funny, 3 AFC East teams in the bottom 6 teams in the NFL. Maybe that's why the Patriots are always in the Super Bowl. Next team coming up here on the list, the Cincinnati Bengals. They just hired a new head coach in Zach Taylor, but I think there's some rumors around them trading Andy Dalton, but they still have really talented players like Joe Mixon, A.J. Green. But I'll tell you what, if they bring in Ryan Tannehill, they may find themselves even a little bit lower on this list. Number 25 coming up, the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I think when you look at their defense, they have a good defense. I mean, they have a playoff caliber defense. But without a quarterback, you're just simply not going to win in this league. And I think we can all agree Blake Bortles is hashtag bad. Maybe not as bad as Jared Goff in the Super Bowl, but still pretty bad. Number 24 coming up now, the New York Football Giants. And I think when you look at the Giants from top to bottom, they're an okay roster, but let's just be real. Eli Manning, dude, is washed up. And I'm sick and tired of watching Eli Manning try to throw his noodle arm around, trying to get the ball to OBJ, Evan Ingram, a pretty talented team, Saquon Barkley. I mean, Barkley won the 2018 Rookie of the Year, and I think when you just look at what he did from top to bottom, the dude is special, and it's why I've compared him to LaDainian Tomlinson, David Johnson, really talented running back. But there's a little bit of a debate going on right now, and should Saquon have won the Rookie of the Year? So who did you vote for Rookie of the Year? Because for me, it's between 2 players. It was between Saquon Barkley or Baker Mayfield. So I want you to type S for Saquon or B for Baker. And if you want to know who I actually think should have won the Rookie of the Year, I want you to hit me up on IG or Twitter at MitchellRenz365. My number 23 team here is the Denver Broncos. And there's a lot of questions of what's going on with the quarterback situation there. Case Keenum, I don't know if he's the answer, but a bright spot on that offense, Phillip Lindsay, he continues the ball, and that defense is going to continue to carry that team. Well, they kind of have to when you consider the offensive play. Number 22 on my list, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. New head coach Bruce Arians. I think he's going to be able to help the growth of Jameis Winston. When you look at Jameis air yards, I think it's a really good comparison with a coach like Bruce Arians who likes to chuck the ball. They have a talented offense, but perhaps the worst defense in the NFL. That needs to improve. Number 21 here is the Detroit Lions, and I like what some of the Lions' moves have what they did last year. You know, I like the move getting Patricia. I like getting Snacks Harrison. He was a pretty solid player for them. Kerryon Johnson, a really solid young running back. But Matthew Stafford is average at best, and as long as he's continued to throw the ball for the Detroit Lions, let's be real, I don't think they're going to win much. If you want to bet on the NFL games coming up or next season, go to chatsports.com/bet. Use promo code LIVE120. Sign up and deposit with MasterCard or Bitcoin, and then just DM us on Twitter @chatsports if you want a free NFL jersey. Who doesn't want an NFL jersey? Am I right? And also a little cherry on top of that. If you use Bitcoin, we're going to give you a 150% deposit bonus. I challenge you to find a better deal out there. We're going to hook you up with some free money. You're going to be able to bet on NFL games and a free NFL jersey. You're welcome. You're welcome. Number 20 team coming up here on my board, the Green Bay Packers. And this one is a little bit, can change, right? I mean, at the end of the day, they have arguably the best quarterback in the NFL in Aaron Rodgers. And hopefully, Matt LaFleur can inject some life into Green Bay because, well, from what I saw last year from Mike McCarthy, he just wasn't cutting it. And I think, though, luckily they have Aaron Rodgers, because if they didn't, you could argue the Green Bay Packers have one of the worst rosters in the NFL, but they're just held up together by this glue that's Aaron Rodgers. So with that being said, I said Aaron Rodgers is arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and I want to know from everybody who's watching, who's the best quarterback right now in the NFL? I'm not saying the GOAT, because I think Brady's the GOAT. However, you're taking one quarterback to play on your team in 2019, who are you taking? If you're watching this on Facebook, if you're watching this on YouTube, I want you to comment below. If you want to know who I'm taking, hit me up at Mitchell Renz 365. My number 19 team here on the board, the San Francisco 49ers, and this is another team that could change a lot depending on the health of their quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo. And I like Jimmy Garoppolo a lot. I think he's a really talented player, and he came out blazing in 2017, going 5-0. This past year, only 2-2. And I think another player who absolutely emerged for the 49ers, George Kittle. And you could argue that he's the best tight end in the NFL right now. Heck, my dude Tom Downey, go follow him at What Going Down. He would argue George Kittle is the best tight end in the NFL. And when you look at when his receiving leaders, like he had 1,377 yards. That's the highest receiving yards by a tight end in NFL history. Here's where the 49ers need to improve. That secondary, only 2 interceptions this past season. Team here coming up on the board, the Tennessee Titans. And I think the Titans found their run game or found their mojo a little bit down the end of the stretch of the season. Sure, a lot of that had to do with Derrick Henry just trucking people, but he looked pretty good. Here's the thing, though. I still think that this team is held back a little bit by their quarterback play with Marcus Mariota. Number 17 team here coming up is the Carolina Panthers. And the Panthers, when they had a healthy Cam Newton, much better team. Not so healthy Cam Newton, not a very good team. That's when they fell off the board. Now, there are rumors whether or not Cam's going to be able to play realistically in 2019. I think he's going to be okay to go. But even if he can't play, they have one of the best and most dynamic running backs in the entire NFL in Christian McCaffrey. He led all running backs in receiving yards with 867. An absolute great season by Christian McCaffrey. And when you really look at just a total in receptions, it's unbelievable. I mean, he broke Matt Forte's record for most receptions by a running back. Forte had 102. Christian McCaffrey's like, hold my beer, I'm going to put up 107. And no other running back was over 92. This is a new age in NFL where if a running back can run and catch the way Christian McCaffrey can, I'm telling you, the dude is absolutely special. I think another special ranking I got coming up here is the Cleveland Browns. And look at my smile. The Cleveland Browns are a top 16 team in the NFL. This is the world that we're living in, and it's because of Baker Mayfield, and it's because of a young and talented roster. And I watched the Browns, and I watched them emerge, and I was so happy when they fired Hugh Jackson, because any coach that goes 3-40-1 in his tenure, or what was it, 3-36-1, in his tenure as a head coach, you can tell me right now he's bad. He's a bad head coach, and I loved what they did once they got rid of him. A much better team, 5-3. And here's the only issue, though. Is Freddie Kitchens the answer? I hope so. I hope it's a good hire for the Browns. Will the Browns make the playoffs? So I want to know from you. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Number 15 here, the Atlanta Falcons. And this one was a tough one for me. I think when you look at the Falcons roster, they have actually one of the better rosters in the NFL. It's just unfortunately last year, they were so banged up on defense and on the offense. And if you can expect the Falcons to be much healthier, I think they're going to be a lot better. Matt Ryan plus Julio Jones, deadly combo. Can't deny that. And also, they fired Steve Sarkisian. Can we thank the good lords that Steve Sarkisian does not have an NFL job anymore? Here's the thing, though, with Julio Jones. He led the NFL in receiving yards with 1,677. He's the only wide receiver the last 4 years to be top 3 in the NFL in receiving yards. The dude is an absolute baller. There's no doubt about it. Thanks to Mizzen and Maine, I've been able to increase my black book a little bit. Go to comfortable.af to see for yourself, because these are the best damn dress shirts you'll ever buy. Sweat wicking technology. You literally can't get them wrinkled. Dudes, guys, I'm telling you, wear them. Chicks dig them. Next team coming up here on the board, going into the Steel City, the Pittsburgh Steelers at 14. Dom's a Steelers fan. I can see her in the background rooting and hollering. Here's the thing. The Steelers, Big Ben continues to chuck the rock, and Big Ben is going to have a lot of touchdowns. He's going to have a lot of yards, but he's also going to have a lot of interceptions. But here's the issue with the Steelers. A lot of locker room drama and a lot of Mike Tomlin uncertainty. If you would have asked me, guess what? I would have fired him. But if AB returns to the Steelers, I think that this team could rise up the rankings. But if they lose AB and Le'Veon Bell, which I expect them to lose, they could maybe even fall. Here's the thing, though. I said Big Ben continues to chuck the rock because he's got a great offense. 5,129 yards for Big Ben last season. That led all quarterbacks in the NFL. And then I also mentioned this guy, Antonio Brown, who had a career-high 15 receiving touchdowns. And if Big Ben's not going to have his go-to player in AB, that's going to hurt the yards, that's going to hurt the points, it's going to hurt a lot of moving parts for this Pittsburgh Steelers offense that has been elite, absolutely elite, the last 3 years, as I get a nice little bow there from Dom. And Antonio Brown, you could argue, is the best wide receiver in the NFL. Heck, I would throw out names like OBJ, DeAndre Hopkins, Julio Jones, but this show is about y'all. Who's the best wide receiver in the NFL? If you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, I want you to comment below. Be an overachiever. Give me a reason why. If you want to be an even more an overachiever, give me your top 5 wide receivers in the NFL. Tweet it at me at Mitchell Renz 365. If I like it, I'll throw you a like and a retweet. My number 13 team here is the Minnesota Vikings, and you could argue the Minnesota Vikings were the most underwhelming NFL team in 2018. They signed Kirk Cousins to an $84 million guaranteed contract, and I think he's the most overrated quarterback in the NFL. When you have weapons around you like Kyle Rudolph at tight end, Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen, and you still don't make the playoffs, mind-blowing. That defense, super underwhelming. And here's the other thing. Can Dalvin Cook stay healthy? I think Dalvin Cook is an absolutely great running back, but until he proves to me that he can play a full 16-game season, I don't know if I can fully invest in a Minnesota Vikings team that's in a very tough division. Coming in now as the number 12 team is the Baltimore Ravens, and if Joe Flacco's the quarterback, maybe I'll flip those numbers to 21. I kid. Even though I really do not like Joe Flacco. Lamar Jackson, though, he needs to improve in year 2. I think what we saw, mind-blowing stat, Lamar Jackson led the NFL, or set a new NFL record for most rushing attempts by a quarterback. The dude started playing in week 11. He needs to improve more as a passer, but maybe the reason why they ran the ball so much is because there's just not a lot of weapons around him. And if they can add some more talented tight ends, or maybe not tight ends, they got like 100 on there, maybe some more talented wide receivers, maybe get the running game going a little bit more from the running back's side perspective. Like Gus Edwards is okay, but at the end of the day, Lamar Jackson needs to grow as a quarterback, and this defense is going to continue to carry them. But until the quarterback play improves and until the offense improves, they're only going to be number 12 for me. Number 11 here is the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'm team Carson Wentz. I think Carson Wentz is a better quarterback than Nick Foles, and I'll say that probably until the day that I die. Can Carson Wentz, though, stay healthy? Well, hopefully he's healthier than that voice crack I just had. Now, I think the Eagles have arguably the best offensive line when healthy. Okay, when healthy. And if they can maybe get a running back to come run behind that offensive line, I think that's when you're really going to see this team roll. Like Carson Wentz was good last year, 21 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. The defense, though, that secondary, man, they were down to like their 3rd and 4th string cornerbacks. I think the Eagles, fully healthy with Carson Wentz, not quite a top 10 team. That's why they're at number 11. Number 10 here is the Seattle Seahawks, and I'm surprised that the Seahawks are a top 10 team, but at the end of the day, they're led by Russell Wilson, and he's going to be 30 years old, and he chucked for 35 touchdowns last year. Here's the most amazing thing. The Seattle Seahawks led the NFL in rushing yards in 2018. Mind blown. It goes to show you what happens when you get rid of Tom Cable, right? I mean, their offensive line played so much better without Tom Cable, and I'm happy to see that because I'm hoping the Raiders end up firing Tom Cable. But here's the thing. They need to add more options around Russell Wilson. He continues to carry the team. I think you can make a real argument. When you look at what an actual MVP is, most valuable player to his team, I'll make the argument for Russell Wilson. My number 9 team here, the Dallas Cowboys. And I think the Cowboys have a tale of two seasons, right? Before Amari and after Amari. It's kind of like before Christ and after death, am I right? So the Cowboys were 3-5, and then they just absolutely turned it on, man. It was insane after that Jags game, and then a great team performance. And they really, I think once Amari came over, that really opened up the field, and it opened up things for Ezekiel Elliott. And you could argue that Zeke is the best running back in the NFL, and when you look and see that he led the NFL again in rushing yards, 1,434. He led the NFL in rushing yards as a rookie with over 1,600, and he probably, if he would have played all 16 games in the sophomore season, would have led the NFL again. And I think when you look at Zeke, unbelievable running back. And here's the thing, though. The Cowboys, they have another player that they really need to bring back. It's DeMarcus Lawrence. DeMarcus Lawrence is the top free agent on my list. And if they can bring him back, hey, number 9, I think you could put the Cowboys higher, you could put the Cowboys lower. I get it, okay? I totally get it. Let's bring back DeMarcus. All right, but now I'm going to move on because I got to get out of the DeMarcus talk. And I'm going to talk about Zeke again. And is Zeke the best running back in the NFL? I want to know from you. Who's the best running back in the NFL? Is it Gurley? Is it Saquon Barkley? Is it Zeke? I want you to comment below. Be an overachiever. Give me your top 5 on Twitter, at Mitchell Renz 365. Going in now into my top 8. So now we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. And number 8 here is the Houston Texans, another team located in Texas. When I watch the Texans play, I think that they are a really talented team, and they're still a really young team. And I'm hoping they move on from Lamar Miller because that dude is washed up. And when I watch Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins, when they're at their peak, you could argue that's the best quarterback-wide receiver duo in the NFL. J.J. Watt continues to be a dominant force on the defensive side of the football, and I think as long as he's healthy leading that team, the defense is going to continue to play well. But they need to add some help in that secondary. I like the Honey Badger. He was a good ad. Maybe they can add Earl Thomas. That's all I'm saying. He grew up 2 hours from Houston. And he's a really talented player overall, this entire, I think, Houston Texans team. But what I really want to, kind of like get in on is, DeAndre Hopkins, Deshaun Watson. Can this team improve a little bit more? Now they're going to be battling with another team like the Indianapolis Colts and whatnot. I like the Texans, but still, only number 8. Number 7 on my list, the Chicago Bears, who I went and watched live thanks to Chat Sports. Gave me some tickets. What's up, what's up? And I got to watch the Bears absolutely just rout the Packers. And I think the Bears run the NFC North, and it's led by Khalil Mack, Mitchell Trubisky. And I think that when you look at this team, I think that they're going to improve under year 2 under Matt Nagy. I like Matt Nagy a lot. I think what he did, he brought a lot of swagger. And I think Mitchell Trubisky brings a lot of swagger. And when you see a quarterback entering year 3, I like what I saw, right? So, he had an okay rookie year. His sophomore season, he improved. And then this sophomore season, he really improved. Now, the third year is where I really want to see that big step for Mitchell Trubisky. But this Bears defense, man, led by Khalil Mack, you could argue it's the best defense in the NFL. And if there's anything I learned from this past Super Bowl, with 16 points scored together, does defense still win championships? Maybe it does. Number 6 team, the Indianapolis Colts. And I love the Colts, and I love what the Colts did. Heck, they were 1-5 in 2018 and then turned it around and went 10-6. That's special. This team really rallied around Frank Reich, which I'd love to see, and the defense played straight-up inspired football. And here's the other thing. Andrew Luck, don't at me, is a top 5 quarterback. I want you to name 5 quarterbacks better than Andrew Luck. I don't think you can do it. Why? Because Andrew Luck's a top 5 quarterback. And the other thing that the Colts have, the most cap space in the NFL. They're going to go out, they're going to make some moves. I think right now they see that, all right, this is our window. This is our window to win a Super Bowl. Andrew Luck plays elite football. Go figure, you build an offensive line around him, you win football games. So, if I'm going to bet on a sneaky team to win the Super Bowl next year, I might bet on the Colts. And if you're going to bet on who's going to win the Super Bowl, there's one place to do it. That's at BetDSI. Go to chatsports.com/bet. Use our promo code LIVE120 for 120% deposit bonus. Sign up and deposit with MasterCard or Bitcoin, and then DM us on Twitter at ChatSports. We're going to hook you up with a free NFL jersey. You want a Brady? You want a Zeke? You want a Garoppolo? Heck, you want an Andrew Luck? Pick an NFL jersey. I got you. And if you use Bitcoin, woo, look at that. 150% deposit bonus when you use Bitcoin. So if you put down $100, Mom, guess what? You're going to get $150 for free. And Dad, if you don't know how to use Bitcoin, I got you. Either hit me on that hotline bling or slide in my DMs at Mitchell Renz 365. I'll walk you through the process. My number 5 team, the Los Angeles Chargers, and bolt up, right? Like, I like the Chargers a lot. I think they're a really good team on offense and on defense. Sure, maybe the Phillip Rivers will never beat Tom Brady. And when you're, he's like 0-8 against the dude, I feel bad for Phillip Rivers, who's had to play against literally Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger, just elite quarterbacks, and I don't know if this dude's ever going to win a Super Bowl. But in the regular season, Phillip continues to play elite, and I still think with a healthy Joey Bosa, this is one of the best defenses in the NFL, and they played great down the end of the season, and the only thing for them is can they continue that in the playoffs. The Los Angeles Rams here coming in at 4, and yeah, the Rams are my number 4 team, and I get that they were in the Super Bowl. But guess what? I don't think the Rams should have been in the Super Bowl. I think we can all agree that that was a pass interference call, and I think the Rams got lucky, and the Saints got absolutely hosed. They should have been in the Super Bowl. I guarantee the Saints would have put up more than 3 points because Jared Goff, I'll tell you what, I don't know. Maybe he needs to get sponsored by Pampers because that dude took an absolute you-know-what in his pants. He was terrible. But here, luckily for them, they have a running back named Todd Gurley. But I don't understand why Todd Gurley wasn't used in the Super Bowl because the dude had 17 rushing touchdowns this past year. And maybe if they would have gave the ball to Todd Gurley a little bit more, maybe he's hurt. I don't know. But when the reports are that he's healthy and he doesn't get the ball, he gets 10 carries, head scratcher. Head scratcher to me. Don't quite understand what is going on there. And my number 3 team, led by MVP Patrick Mahomes. It's the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, this team is absolutely super entertaining to watch, and they lost to the Super Bowl champs, the Patriots, in overtime in the AFC Championship game, and Patrick Mahomes threw for 50 touchdowns, for goodness sakes. Like, he was unbelievable. The offense is scary, dynamic. I don't know how you cover it. Tons of speed with Tyreek Hill, a great tight end, and Travis Kelce. They need to re-sign Dee Ford on defense, and they need to add talent on defense because they have one of the worst defenses in the NFL. But luckily for them, as I stated, they have one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback in the NFL, in Patrick Mahomes. When you have a dude, and realistically his first year, throwing for 50 touchdowns, it's insane. Then, when you watch what he's just done this year, he was absolutely incredible. 50 touchdowns in just every game. You were like, this kid, he's throwing the ball from different angles. He's chucking it here, he's chucking it there. I couldn't believe how much growth Patrick Mahomes had in his second season, and I absolutely cannot wait to see what he's going to do next year and what he's going to do the year after that because he's only, 23, 24 years old. He's younger than me, and he's arguably the best quarterback in the NFL. So Patrick Mahomes won the MVP in 2018. Guess what I'm going to ask you? Who's going to win the MVP in 2019? Is he going to do it again? Hey, there's absolutely no reason why he can't do it again. Could it be Drew Brees? Could it be Tom Brady? Maybe Aaron Rodgers? I want to know from you. Who's going to win the MVP in 2019? If you want to know who my top 5 are, or the top 5 players who I think will win the MVP in 2019, hit me up on IG or Twitter, at Mitchell Renz 365. Number 2. The New Orleans Saints, the team that should have been in the playoffs, or should have been in Super Bowl 53 because they got hosed. Absolutely hosed. You know who that got hosed? 100%. And as long as Drew Brees is breathing, and as long as Drew Brees continues to play elite football, man, I'm not counting out the Saints whatsoever. And I think the Saints are going to have a revenge season. I think that they're going to be like, all right, we know we should have been in the Super Bowl. They would have scored more than 3 points, I can guarantee you that. And when you have Drew Brees, all you need to do, just be average, Saints. Just have an average defense. And if you can do that, I'm going to like what you're going to see. Now, why do I say that? Because when you have Drew Brees, a revenge season, you have super talented running back in Alvin Kamara, but you also have one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, Michael Thomas. And now, Michael Thomas led the NFL in receptions with 125. Absolutely special. And when you consider the amount of targets this dude got, he was catching like 90% of his balls thrown his way. That's insane. Drew Brees, Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara might be the best running back, wide receiver, quarterback duo in the NFL. And as long as they're going to keep running the ball the way they do, and as long as Drew Brees continues to sling it at a high level, they're my number 2 team. I'm taking the Saints to represent the NFC in Super Bowl 54. Guess who's going to play in Super Bowl 54? I'm not going to bet against it. It's New England Patriots, and I think that y'all are dumb. Y'all are dumb right now if you don't go to BetDSI and bet on the Patriots winning the AFC and going to the Super Bowl. Why? Because they go to the Super Bowl every freaking year, it seems like. I mean, I think for you to bet against the Patriots, you're dumb. You're just dumb to bet against them. And they've won Super Bowl 53, 13-3, and not sure. It was the lowest scoring Super Bowl ever, and it was really boring. Luckily for us, though, we did a watch party, which was pretty lit. YouTube.com/chatsportstv. Check that out next year. but it was their 6th in franchise history for the Patriots. And as long as Tom Brady and as long as Bill Belichick are playing for the Patriots or coaching for the Patriots, I'm betting on the Patriots. No doubt about it. The Patriots have been to 3 straight Super Bowls, and they've won 3 out of the last 4 Super Bowls. I mean, Patriots Super Bowls with Tom Brady. Come on. I mean, this isn't even fair. I mean, look at this. The Patriots beat the Rams. Sure, they lost to the Eagles, which was a great game. Then they beat the Falcons. They beat the Seahawks. Sure, they lost to the Giants. Now, maybe if the Giants can get it together, because that seems like the only team that's Tom Brady and Bill Belichick's kryptonite. But, like, when you have a quarterback who's been to 9 Super Bowls, like, that is so mind-blowing to me. And then when you see Super Bowl 42, another great game, and I still think the Patriots, even though they lost that Super Bowl, it's the greatest team I've ever seen in my entire life. Patriots, then they beat the Eagles 24-21. The Patriots then beat the Panthers the year before that 32-29. And in the very first Super Bowl that Tom Brady was in, he beat the Rams 20-17. Funny stat about that, it's full circle. During that Super Bowl, Sony Michel was 6 years old, Rob Gronkowski was 12 years old, Julian Edelman was 15 years old. Think about that. That's how long that he's been doing it, and he's been doing it at a high level. I'm telling you right now, you're dumb for betting against the Patriots, and you should easily bet on the Patriots for Super Bowl 54. And luckily, BetDSI, they hooked us up with some odds on who's going to win Super Bowl 54, and I'm actually surprised. The Rams were there at plus 750, highest odds, which I find a little bit surprising. The Chiefs at plus 800. Guess what? I've already put money down that the New England Patriots will win Super Bowl 54 at plus 800 odds. And you know what? I actually doubled down as well, because the New Orleans Saints I also put down is going to win Super Bowl 54 at plus 1,100. The Chargers there at plus 1,550. Like, at the end of the day, I put down $10 on the Patriots and the Saints, because those are the 2 teams that I think are going to represent the AFC and represent the AFC. NFC and AFC, yeah, I said that right. So those are the odds given to us by BetDSI. So now I want to know from you, everybody watching, who will win Super Bowl 54, okay? If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're watching this on Facebook, I want to know from you. Comment below who's going to win Super Bowl 54. Give me your Super Bowl prediction. Mine's Patriots, Saints, Super Bowl 54, and I'm going to take the Saints to beat the Patriots in Super Bowl 54. And if you don't like it, too bad, just at me, at Mitchell Renz 365. Let's do a recap now of my 2019 NFL Power Rankings, and we'll start at the very, very bottom. Number 32, the Arizona Cardinals, led by Rosen, led by David Johnson and Cliff Kingsbury. And then we got 31, the Oakland Raiders. Well, are they Oakland Raiders anymore? I don't know. Are they San Francisco Raiders? Maybe. The Bay Area Raiders? Who knows? They're there at number 31. Number 30, the Washington Redskins without Alex Smith. Only 1-5 without him last season. Number 29, the New York Jets, and Sam Darnold, I think, needs to grow a little bit. Maybe they'll add Le'Veon Bell. Number 28, the Buffalo Bills, another AFC team. That's just AFC East team. In the bottom, and guess what? Another AFC East team coming up here in the Miami Dolphins at 27. Not a lot of hope for them. I think they're tanking. 26, the Cincinnati Bengals. Are they moving on from Andy Dalton? Possibly. Maybe they'll bring over Ryan Tannehill. Jacksonville Jaguars here at 25. Okay team. They need to find a new quarterback. 24, the New York Football Giants. Eli washed up, but luckily they got Saquon. 23, the Denver Broncos. Case Keenum, not the answer. Still a solid defense. 22, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, now led by Bruce Arians and that dope hat. 21, the Detroit Lions. Matthew Stafford, he ain't that good, but guess what? They're still only 21 on my list. Number 20, the Green Bay Packers. Yes, they might have the best quarterback in the NFL in Aaron Rodgers. Guess what, though? That roster, not very good. 19, the San Francisco 49ers. Jimmy G, can you stay healthy? Let's hope. Number 18, the Tennessee Titans. Marcus Mariota, is he the answer? I'm not quite sure. Derrick Henry keeps trucking people. 17, the Carolina Panthers. Cam Newton, dab. Hopefully he's going to be dabbing in 2019. The Cleveland Browns, are they going to make the playoffs? Drum roll, please. 15, the Atlanta Falcons, led by Matt Ryan, Julio Jones. Please stay healthy, Devonta Freeman. 14, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Tomlin, AB, a lot of drama there. 13, the Minnesota Vikings, led by possibly the most overrated quarterback in the NFL, and Kirk Cousins. 12, the Baltimore Ravens. Without Joe Flacco, that's why they're number 12. Number 11, the Philadelphia Eagles. Carson Wentz, is he better than Foles? I think so. 10, the Seattle Seahawks, led by possibly the real MVP, Russell Wilson. Number 9 is the Dallas Cowboys. Dak, Zeke, Amari, that's a three-headed monster. The Houston Texans coming in at 8. Deshaun Watson, DeAndre Hopkins, dynamic duo. Number 7 is the Chicago Bears, led by Khalil Mack and Mitchell Trubisky. Number 6 is Indianapolis Colts. Andrew Luck, top 5 quarterback, believe it, baby. Los Angeles Chargers here, number 5, still led by Phillip Rivers. They might not be able to get past Tom Brady. That's okay. Number 4, the Los Angeles Rams. Yes, they were in Super Bowl 53, but let's be honest, shouldn't have been in it. Number 3, the Kansas City Chiefs, led by MVP Patrick Mahomes. Number 2, Drew Brees, still breathing. Revenge season for the Saints. And number 1 is guess who? The Super Bowl 53 champs, the New England Patriots.